All right. Well, thank you for being here, and we're super glad to have Brian with us today. So, during the Bible class hour, he's going to share with us the ministry that we support well, not just what we support. Well, we do support Brian, and so he goes to India, and we started out supporting the Villages ministry, and then we supported Ricky Gudum, and he's in Kakianda. And then just recently we started supporting Keyshore. So we got kind of three ministries in India. And then Brian was just there in India in January. Yeah. So he's got a lot to share with us. So I'm not going to take up too much time. But you may not know Brian, but Brian started coming here at Royal Oak in 2010. And then he was with us for a couple years, 3 or 4 years. And then he started working in ministry. And he was up at Bad Axe Church of Christ, and then Northeast Church of Christ, Dexter Church of Christ, and now he's up in Escanaba. So he's preaching up there in the UP, but we're glad that he's here with us today and able to share about India. And then during the worship, he'll be sharing about the work up there, the television program, which we also support, called Let the Bible Speak. We've been supporting that for, 20 or 30 years, so it's been a while. But that's another great ministry. So we'll give the rest of the time for the Bible class to Brian, and then we'll be able to hear what's been going on and give us the update.
I'm glad to be here and speaking about Let the Bible Speak, India, and also later during the worship time, the gospel of Christ. So India missions, I will preface this. I don't do presentations and PowerPoints that well. So I'm just going to try to talk about India following my PowerPoint. So India, what's that? Does that sound like a good idea? India Mission 2025 by Brian Poe. What's the next slide? Am I supposed to have a clicker or just, okay. All right, just a little introduction about the India work. And then what I'll do is, after I give an introduction to the India work, I will hone in on the missions that Royal Oak focuses on, and that is the Gudums in Kakinada. And you're close, Peter. Kakinada. You said, I don't know what you said. Canianada? Panada? Pina colada?
A Mexican accent.
Yeah. It's Kakinada, and up on the East Coast. And then they support Keyshore now. And, clicker. All right. More opportunity for me to fail. And then, of course, T. Daniel and the Flemings and the House Project, which I'll show you some pictures of that too. But in introduction of the mission, this is me, and I'm the one in right there, the American, the younger American, and that's me in 2017. So I don't think I've aged a bit, have I? Maybe a little bit. All right, so 2017, I was preaching at Northeast Church of Christ over in East Point, Michigan. And I was reviewing all the missions. I was new there, reviewing the missions, and realized, like most churches, they start supporting something, and then they just start sending the checks, and everyone forgets what they're supporting. They just send the checks. Well, I started reviewing, and I was asking the elders, what's the India mission? And we really don't know. So I started to investigate. Our main contact we sent the money to was Royce Frederick. So I'm pointing at the screen. You guys see that screen. Royce Frederick, the man that I'm standing next to, the American, he was from Texas Freeway, passed on now, and he did 40 years of mission work in India, like roughly 40 in each of them, but not exactly 40 in each, but 40 years, 40 trips, 37 trips to India over those years. I think it's more like 46 trips or something. A lot of experience. Well, he's like, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, what preacher does not want to go to the mission field? And I had not been to the mission field yet. So I'm like, yeah. So we planned it, got my visa and everything. And 2018 was my first trip with Royce. I flew there and I landed in India, and I was supposed to meet him at the hotel. So here I am, my first mission trip, landed in India, And I'm just like, okay, where do I go now? Thankfully, there was a young Indian guy who didn't speak good English, had a sign with Brian Poe. And I still have that sign because that was pretty cool. That's the only thing I had to save me on that day, landing in India. And I was there for 10, 11 days with Royce. And I did not know he was like so thorough and talking to me about this and that and all this. I'm like, well, this is a lot to pack in. I found out that was his last trip, and I did not know that he was secretly putting the wand in my back pocket, and which I did not mind. I loved it. And the next trip, 2019, I went by myself because that was his last trip that he went on when he handed it off to me. In 2019, I went by myself. It was a great time. No, my wife did not like me going by myself. I have a rule of thumb with my travels to India. I only take people I can run faster than. It's not really intentional, but it is how it happens. 2019, I was by myself, so I couldn't run faster than anyone. But I went by myself 2019. Wonderful time. What we do there, what do we do there? There we go. What we do there, we visit congregations and encourage preachers, many congregations, a lot of smaller congregations, village congregations, some bigger. I mean, there's nothing like this, Their buildings are like 20 by 30, a cement structure. Very common building that they have, and they pack it and out the back door. But we visit many congregations and encourage preachers. We conduct several preachers' meetings. We visit orphanages and teach the students. Each time we went to some orphanages, right? Yeah, and these orphanages, T. Daniel, my main contact there, he has some good connections there, and he gets us in these orphanages and schools, and they allow us to tell some stories like the Good Samaritan and real popular parables like that have some moral and just basic practical lessons. They don't want us necessarily like tell them about Jesus, but this moral, good teaching story, which is what the Bible is supposed to be anyways. And we're allowed to teach the kids that for a short while. We visit a few widows ministries. There's quite a few widows ministries there. A lot of the churches have widows homes, because it's just a wonderful way to train the widows and the women to be productive and help in the church. And it also is a great means to share the gospel. Many of these widows ministries, like sewing ministries, they would get the ladies together, and ladies just from the city, and some Muslims, some denominational. It's just people from anywhere in the city who might be widows, or just a mom or a mother who needs to be involved somehow. And they have this ministry teaching them to sew, but they also do some singing and reading the Bible, and a lot of fruit comes from that ministry. We visit leper colonies and give necessities. I think the first leper colony was when I visited with Peter in 2020. Yeah, Peter went with me in 2020. And we visited a first leper colony. And neat thing, when I went with Peter in 2020, they're like, yeah, we can go there, make sure you stay downwind, and you just be careful. And it's like, no problem, we can be careful. Well, when I went last year, I was with another group I was actually with Keisha, and we're going to visit a leper colony, and they're like, oh yeah, they got medication, so we just shake hands and all that, and I politely and kindly, feeling very lacking faith, like, well, if you don't mind, I'm not going to shake hands. And I felt horrible. I'm telling him I'm not going to touch them. But, God give us wisdom. In this postmodern science era, wisdom told me, Brian, it's okay. They can hear the word of God. You don't need to be hugging and touching. And I did not. Although Kishore said, oh yeah, it's like, no, I can't, sorry. And I felt horrible, but if God tells me in heaven one day, Brian, come on, no faith? I'm like, hey, look at the book of faith. They all lacked faith somewhere, right? The book of Hebrews. Okay, we visited leper colonies. We distribute several hundred Bibles. Every one of the churches, they collect Bibles, and Bible distribution is a big thing. So many Bibles. Churches are full of Bibles. Their homes are full of Bibles. And at one time, I had like 80 Bibles in my collection, my library. And but they don't have the Bibles like we do. So thankfully, they distribute Bibles. They print them there, and they distribute them in the native language. And then we conduct a few preachers' meetings, which is one of my favorites. So that's kind of what we do. I went first in 2018, as I said. In 2019, I went back in January again by myself. And then same time, I went with Peter. In 2020, just before all the chaos broke out, yeah, we were flying home, and just when the masks were kind of starting, and we flew home, and a couple weeks later, they shut it all down. So I was like, wow, we got home just in time. And then COVID obviously put things on hold, and then I moved and did a lot of changes there. So my next trip was 2023. 2023 was my next trip, so a couple-year break, and then I went just a few months ago this year. All right. Let me give a couple more things to you, and then I'll let you guys ask some questions. The mission for this trip of 2025 was the message of grace. Hudson, I didn't present Hudson. Okay, sorry. In 2023, I met a young man. He is, was a member of the Escanaba Church of Christ, but now he goes to Marquette Church of Christ. He's 22, 23, I think now. He just turned 23. And he was really interested in the work, and he went with me 2023 and also went with me this year. He will not be going with me next year. I'll be going the same time next year. So just putting it out there, anyone interested in going, I eyeballed someone. Anyone interested in going, it's a lot of work, but it's a wonderful opportunity to experience wonderful things and to teach the gospel to people. They're sponges. They just pull it out of you. You preach for a half hour, they're like, go for another half. We want more. And I think any preacher likes that. So, all right, the message of grace. We went with the message of grace, so our lessons were catered toward grace, which everything we have and do, our salvation, is all by grace. We preach this salvation message and just a message of grace in many different facets. This mission we just got done taking, 12 days in India, 30 speaking opportunities, more than 1,750. I kind of kept count of all the meetings and number of people, and definitely at least 1,750 people cumulatively that heard the gospel message. 41 baptized there and then. A lot of people were planning on being baptized, and then, of course, countless seeds were planted in hearts, because these guys that we work with, they continue to do this work every day hard. They put me to shame as far as the gospel work that they do every day, and they send reports of all the work that's being done in India. So we just plant seed and let them water it as we're gone. All right, so let's hone in a little bit and talk about the three missions. I don't have all the pictures. I have a lot of pictures. This is just a few basic pictures to get you introduced. This is Kishore Tatapudi. This is a new mission that Royal Oak is starting to work with. One of the main guys I work with is T. Daniel. I don't have a picture of T. Daniel. I usually do, but I don't have a picture of T. Daniel this time. His brother is, this is a pointer? It does? Let's see, stop. Which one is it with the pointer? In the middle? It has forward, back, play. We're not playing. And stop. I knew that would happen. Can you fix that? Okay. All right, so let's see your vantage point. So Kishore is on with me and Hudson. That's Hudson. And this is when we first landed, and he met us there. They like to give us gifts right away. And then you have there Hudson, myself, Kishore again, and then Emmanuel, the Indian man, and his wife. Emmanuel is T. Daniel's brother. Okay, two brothers that have done a lot of work in India for many years. And then Kishore is this younger generation who's kind of taking the reins. Father-son relationships, the son taking the ministry behind the father, very common, very much like the Bible days, where if your dad was a carpenter, you're going to be a carpenter. Well, if your dad's a preacher, you are the next preacher. So Kishore he's a really good man They have the congregation that they do wonderful work there. They have the leper colony, and Kishore is actually a doctor, but he uses his medicine knowledge to help in the ministry and to help people like that. That's kind of his resource to help people. So that's Kishore, and let's see what else I have here for Kishore. This is the leper colony. Those are all lepers in the picture. This particular area they're renting, and they put all the green stuff to kind of provide shelter for their meetings and everything. They were asking, this is my little tidbit, they were asking for funds to build a building, but I personally, I don't think I think they have the resources they need at this time. Honestly, they do not have any resources to maintain or take care of the building, and they already have shelter for their climate. It would basically be a resource that would have no foundation to support itself. So there would be a lot of financial support that would have to follow. And that kind of assess that. It's like, it would be great to have a building, but, it just doesn't make sense. So, but they do wonderful work here in this area. It costs them, they said, about $30 a month, which I'm like, that's not bad. Not bad to rent this facility. And then, of course, they have the church work and all the other work that they do. And this is the ministry that Royal Oak just started to support, this leper. The whole gamut of what Kishore and his dad do, that's everything you're supporting. They do church work. They have a widow's home. They have a preaching school that they do there as well. They do work with the lepers. A lot of wonderful work that's being done with the ministry for Kishore. So that's is that all I have for Kishore? Oh no, this is when I was there. We had several baptisms. They have a baptistry right there outside the church building. Just basically a cement little enclosure, and this is one of the baptisms. I kind of like it. They go down, that's the same woman coming back up. But a lot of baptisms there when I'm there and also when I'm not there. So they do wonderful, wonderful work. Kishore and his dad, Emmanuel, in this area. Now, Kishore and the Goodhams, they work together a lot. That's kind of, I think Kishore actually went to school related to Ricky Goodham, and so they're very close. But anyways, the Goodhams have a separate ministry. Now we're over in Kakinada, about an hour from Kishore, which is quite a distance in India. Driving an hour on India roads is like driving 4 hours on a dirt road here. But Ricky Goodham does a lot of work. This is a picture from me and Ricky. The first day I landed in India. I think it was, what day was it? Everything goes blur. You got to put yourself back together after you get in the plane and leave here. I think this is a Friday, and it's 16th and 17th. That was a Thursday and Friday. And so this is Lads to Leaders. Ricky, a few years ago, started to do Lads to Leaders. I know you guys know Lads to Leaders in India, and he has an amazing, let's see, do I have a picture? Of course not. Okay, but there is 600 people at that meeting, okay? It's like, just goes, and they have this meeting down, it's on the street. They just close off the street, and they just have the tents that keep a roof over people so they don't get burned by the sun, and 600 people. It was fascinating, amazing. And yeah, the 17th was my birthday. I was in India for my birthday, but I won't do that again. I felt bad for that one. But I wanted to be there for Lads to Leaders, but next time we're not doing that. But anyways, I landed on the plane, and we're tired. Hudson's sick, and I get picked up. Hudson, he gets picked up, taken to the hotel. I get picked up and taken about 2-hour ride to this location. And I get there and realize my hair is a mess. I'm not shaved. I'm in a T-shirt. It's like I forgot to do anything to get ready for this meeting. So here's this missionary from the U.S., and I look like a mess. But they didn't care. But it was a great meeting. And let's see if they were working on Genesis, which I think is actually the Lads of Leaders theme even here in the U.S. So they were doing Genesis as well. I did not know that, and the lesson I took for that meeting was actually focused on just God as the creator and the amazement of, well, prior to that, as I was leaving for India for my birthday, I got my telescope and I got some books of the cosmos and the planets and stars. I was just fascinated, Psalm 19 and Psalm 8, about the cosmos. So I had this lesson planned on just creation and being able to see God and while looking up at the stars at night and realize that it fit perfectly with the theme that they already had going on. So that was awesome. My name is Ricky Goodham. He's about my age. Ricky does a lot with his family there in Kakanata. They do a lot of Bible distribution. They do a lot of classes that they mail out, correspondence. What a big, big operation that they do. They also have a church there. They have a children's home or an orphanage. I don't know if it's an orphanage as much as a children's home. Is it an orphanage? Okay. Yeah, they have a whole floor just for an orphanage to take care of kids. A wonderful ministry. And they have the church building and a big attendance on Sunday. They do a lot of work in Kakanata. Ricky also is very close. He's in politics as well. So he's very close with here it's like, well, that's not good. Well, there it is good because if you're friends with the local leaders, they are sympathetic and more tolerant. As long as you don't cause a ruckus, just do what you want to do, Ricky, he's a good guy, good standing with the politics in the town, and it allows him to do a lot of things without persecution because they trust him and they know him and he knows his boundaries. And that is Ricky's dad, Joshua. And Joshua, remember Royce Frederick, the man I went to India the first time? Well, he's the same age bracket as Joshua. Many, many years ago, they worked many years together. Okay, that generation did a lot of work. All the dads, Ricky's dad, T. Daniel's dad, that generation did a lot of work in India, and now I'm working with all the sons. All right, this is the building in Kakanata. That's Ricky. That picture's a couple years old. That's the inside, and then you have the outside. Church of Christ meets here. That's in Kakanata. All right, it's a decent-sized building, but remember it's multi-ministry. The first floor, you see, it's got 3 floors. The first floor there will have, that is, you walk in, and that's where you would have all this room. You have, let's see, I point down there, you guys back here. See all the books and papers and everything? That's all part of the correspondence and classes that they're mailing out, and people doing these courses, mailing them back in, and people learning and growing and graduating. And they also translate. They translate different American books into different languages, Telugu, Oriya, and I forgot the one in the south. Anyways, so this is the first floor, and then the second floor will be the auditorium, and then the third floor is basically the children's home. So the whole building is used very well. And this is Ricky Goodham. You guys have been supporting Ricky for years and does an amazing work, a lot of work. So the money that you send to Ricky, well used. A lot of fruit from that ministry. Same with Keyshore. Keyshore, the money that you send there, they do awesome work and fruitful ministry, and definitely, well-deserving. And they're not building mansions and all that. They do a lot of hard work with that money. All right, the Flemings. The Flemings are some of my favorites. This is a family that I got connected to my first trip in 2018. Royce told me, Brian, you're going to like the Flemings. Silas Gregory, let's see. Silas Gregory is the guy in the blue plaid next to me in my checkered blue. And he's my age. His dad did a lot of work with Royce. Okay, same generation. Now Silas is my age, and I'm doing work with him. And then his wife, Sarah La, next to him. In the picture to your left, you have Hudson, myself, and then the gentleman in the middle of the window, that is Christopher Flemings. and that is Silas Gregory's dad. And then AJ and Davaki, their kids, the Flemings' kids. So this family has done a lot of wonderful work. In India, they have 5 congregations. They don't have like a widow's home and an orphanage. This is a different style. They have 5 congregations in different remote areas. So every Sunday, between the 2 of them, mostly Silas now because his dad is getting older, and some arthritis setting in, and just real difficult to travel around. So mostly Silas Gregory travels to all 5 of these congregations every Sunday morning and would preach the word. And then during the week, he's all over the place doing meetings. And let me see if I think I got some pictures. Oh yeah, there's some doing a baptism. I get a lot of these pictures. He's doing a little Bible study on the front porch, and he's just all week long, just out there traveling, working, preaching, and doing Bible studies with all these different areas. And the neat thing about the Flemings is last year I had this idea. It was a big idea, bigger than I expected. The Flemings rented a home for many, many years, And when Peter and I went there, it was a rented home, and then it was a different rented home because the Buddhists, the Indians, they'll be nice and let you rent, but as soon as they get a little, I'm comfortable with Christians renting my home, then they ask you to leave. And the Flemings are not aggressive people, wonderful, gentle people, probably the most gentle that we know in India. And they're not troublemakers. So they keep on having to find a new rented home. So I orchestrated building them a home and raised funds. Royal Oak was a big part of that. A lot of different wonderful supporters helped us raise money. And I think it was about $8,000. 8,000, okay, yeah, not 80, 8, okay, $8,000. We see the area on the left is the plot, the building, same picture, but see that building right there, yellow, that is the church building. We wanted to build on top because all the houses there are flat roofed, but current government restrictions, it was too difficult to just build on top. So they could build next to that in the lot with no hassle. So they drew up the plan, got the right-of-way, the permits and all that, and then the picture on the right is the home that they built. It looks pretty crazy big because how they built that front, but it's one floor. You walk in and there's 2 bedrooms in the kitchen, and then what that is a roof, and every building, remember the roof is flat, so you have the stairway up and up, and they just built a little cavity around the stairway. It makes the front look pretty impressive, but it is a simple home. I mean, $8,000. They got a nice home for $8,000, and we were very glad. Now they have their permanent home, and this is one of the families that I try to help personally. Great family. Let's see what else I have. Okay, so that's the Flemings, and the Royal Oak helped with the building of that home, and other things as well, and another wonderful family. There are many others that I help with, many other preachers, many other churches, but these are just the 3 that I honed in on that kind of are connected to the support and the generosity of Royal Oak, and we do thank you so much. And yes, Peter mentioned you mentioned you support me. Royal Oak sends, am I supposed to say any numbers? Does it? Okay. Sorry. What was it? I think it's $1,200. $1,200 a year that we put in the India funds. It's not my money, okay? I don't make any money for the India ministry. But they said $1,200 a year that we put in the India fund that is used for helping. Sometimes we do a project. This year, sometimes we have an urgent need, like the church flooded, or something less churchy, like our kids are trying to go to school and we need help with the tuition for school, or we need food. So I know previous people I've worked with, they like to focus only on churchy stuff, and I love that, but I I also see people, families, and like T. Daniel. The last time I did a presentation, I focused on T. Daniel. I don't know if you remember the socks, but he pours everything into the ministry, all his resources. So I try to send him something and say, T. Daniel, use this for you and your family. You know, they're not going to go out to like Longhorn or something. They don't have those restaurants over there, but you know, buy yourself something. Buy yourself a pair of shoes, or buy your wife a new sari or something. But I try to also see the people and help, you know, with their needs that are not even always related to the ministry. For example, many people before me helped build churches. So when I thought I had this thought, I called a couple people to make sure that I would have the support I need to build a home. I'm building a home for a preacher. And he already has the buildings for his churches, but he doesn't have a home for himself. It's like, we got to get this guy in a home for himself. He's been doing the work to show that he's worthy of a home for himself. So I wanted to help him. So anyways, thank you for all the help. Thank you for the 1,200 year that this work can continue. We help many different ways, and also we try to save up money that when I go, it costs, by the time we do the ticket and the travel, the hotels and different things, it will cost roughly $6,000, $5,000 or $6,000 for me to go to India and do this campaign, this work, which is not a lot with spread across a lot of helpers. And we've been able to do that with the help of Royal Oak and Escanaba, West Freeway, Mineral Wells. Those are my churches in Texas. A lot of churches participate in this wonderful work. And so there you have it. Any questions about the India work that I could answer? Otherwise, I'm just going to make things up to start talking about for the next few minutes. I could do that very well. Yes?
What's the language barriers like?
Okay, so the 3 areas I work in, there's 3 different languages. There it is. I just got it. In the south, in Chennai area, okay. So I don't have a pointer, but in the green area, halfway down the green, on the right, on the coast, is Chennai, and that's in Tamil Nadu, and that language is Tamil. And then you have, probably in the center, you take the lower right section and go to you're now in Andhra Pradesh, and that is going to be your Telugu. And I don't speak any of those languages before anyone asks, and I don't plan to because they are very difficult. But then a little north of that, maybe a mid-white section on the east is Odisha, and that is the Oriya language. And those languages, they don't like mix. It's not just like us going to Texas and back. One has a little twang, you know. They are different languages, and many of them do know multiple, because many travel back and forth, but they are different languages. And the neat thing, last trip and this trip, we traveled up into the mountains of Odisha, and the people I'm with, they are from Andhra Pradesh, so they speak the Telugu. Well, where we're going is in Odisha, so they speak Oriya. However, we are in the tribal mountains, so now you have the tribal language. So when I spoke, there was 2 translations behind me, which was pretty cool. So I would speak, the word of the Lord is true, and then another guy would translate him, and then, I loved it. It was really cool. But several different languages. So the tribal language would be even a 4th language. So I don't speak any of it. I have a translator of all these places I go, and sometimes the translator even gets translated himself. But all the translators I work with are trusted guys that we work with. They're not just hired translators. Okay, these are guys that preachers there in the Church of Christ have been trusted and tried for many years in the church, and I communicate with them throughout the year. These are guys that share the same message that we share, and probably could just take it away with, if I, fall over, they can just take it away from there. And sometimes they do that. I don't fall over. But if I say something, and T. Daniel will be like, he would go on for a minute or so. I'm like looking at him. He's like, oh, I was just clarifying a few things. Okay, thank you. So they fill in the gaps if I miss something, because the culture there may not catch something I said, so he fixes it. But they know the truth just how we do, and they are trusted and help the message to get across even better. I have a hand way up there. Yes. Sorry?
How do they get water?
Oh, water. Water there is disgusting. Just point blank. The water there is really bad, but a lot of places, just like here, the villages, they're put around waterways, canals built, and dirty water. Well, you drive now to Sri Lanka, you drive forever along that one canal, and all the water there is brown. And this was the water that people will be washing their clothes in. Also the same water someone's just, doing some business in. Also the same water people's cupping to take for their cooking food. It's bad. It's really bad. But they have the ocean on the east side, and rivers, the Godavari River, big river that flows through Andhra Pradesh. And but of course they do have their dry season. The Godavari is just a land. Then they have their flooding. Every year they have a big, huge flood. The Godavari River floods. So the water is no issue. It's just their water is dirty and filthy. When I go there, the travel clinic, anyone says, you drink bottled water and make sure that it snaps. Because sometimes, they can just grab a bottle, fill it up, boop, put it back on the shelf, and an Indian might come by. They don't care. They just grab it, pay 30 rupees, and drink it. It's just like any water that they drink every day. But if we drink it, I come home with little buddies inside of me, and I don't want that. So, so you got to make sure. And I did grab a bottle once, and I opened it, and uh-oh. So I did not drink that one. Yeah, their water is really, really bad. What else do we got here? Yes.
Any areas that you won't go to due
Yes.
to opposition and stuff?
Yes. The north. The north, if you were to look on your map, up in the northwest in the orange area, do you know what that borders? Yeah. We don't go near that border. Because when you get there, you get the heavier Muslim population. And honestly, when it comes to the people in India, the Buddhists are actually not that bad. The people in India that are dangerous for even the Buddhists, and are a nuisance to the Buddhists as well, are the Muslims. And that will be in the northwest for sure in India as well. Before I went 2023, I was talking to a gentleman, a preacher. I'd never met him, but he does work in Pakistan, just across the border. And I reached out to my contacts, and they said, hey, got this preacher. I could stop there on my way, just jump, very ambitious. I love travel and all that, so it sounds pretty cool. They're like, no, don't go to Pakistan. And okay, so the guy says, well, why don't you come northwest India, and I'll come across the border and come to you. And my contacts said, don't do that either. They said, do not go in the northwest near the border, because that's where you get the Muslim persecution, which is worse than the Indian persecution. But also in the Odisha, the east side, in the white section, Odisha, when you get to the populated areas in Odisha, the Indian government is more against Christian influences there as well. So Royce, my predecessor, my mentor, he said, don't go into Odisha. He said, just don't go there. And so I was very careful not to go into Odisha. The fact is we have so many good places we can go. I'm not Paul the Apostle. I don't plan to be getting bitten by a snake and stay standing for it. I'm not going to tempt the forces like that. I will stay in the areas I know they're being fruitful, I'm safe, and I can come home safe. So I will not go into Odisha. And the funny thing was, 2023, and I went to this place also this year. We were driving for a couple hours, and we're headed north, and I asked, this is Sid Gunarau, and said, where are we headed? Because I don't know half the places we go. I trust these guys to take me where they need to take me when I'm with them. Oh, we're going up into Odisha. And I'm like, oh my, this isn't good. It's like, I was told I would die in Odisha. And so I kindly was like, well, you see, Royce told me not to go into Odisha. So what do you say about that? And he said, yeah, that is true. Odisha is dangerous in the cities, the populated, where you're going to find the government. He said, we're going to go into the mountain areas, the tribal village, where there's nobody but tribal villages. And they were right. And that was probably the most fruitful and the most receptive place I've ever been in India, the tribal villages in Odisha. But the government was not present. That's why we were able to go. Yeah. But mostly in the north areas. Otherwise, it's pretty good. Yeah.
You keep saying Buddha, but don't you mean Hindu?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. The Hindu, yeah.
Okay.
I always get that stuff mixed up. All right, anything else?
Yeah, so how devoted is the general population, the Hindu population, to Hinduism? I mean,
Very much so.
And then how does that lead to being so fruitful with the gospel of Jesus?
Very devoted. In Acts 17, remember the story with Paul walks in Athens and sees all these idols in every corner. Then he sees this one without a name, and he uses that. Well, my first time in India, I'm like, whoa, there are idols on every corner. And there are idols on every corner, little temples all over the place. They are very devoted, but the neat thing is that they understand cleansing. They understand that ritual, but they also understand that it hasn't been doing anything for them either. So, and people are looking for something. They're looking for a light. They feel that they've been in darkness for so many years. But what else are they going to do? This is just what we do. This is what Daddy and Grandma, and those places in the world, when you leave that, you're ostracized. It's bad. Don't go home for Thanksgiving, But they are hungry. They're so hungry. They've been in darkness. They've been starving. Oh, very devoted. But imagine being at a Thanksgiving meal with no food. It's like, I need something better. So we go there and preach the gospel, and their eyes are like, wow, that's what we've been waiting for. That's what we've been starving for. This is what now we can see. So, yeah.
How do you get God's word into their hands? What process? I mean, I understand there's many languages, but how do you accommodate that?
Good question. I expected you to ask that with Bibles for China. But the preachers there, through our funding, they order Bibles, and it's printed there. Bibles are printed there. All they need is the funding. So all the preachers can order Bibles in their language, Oriya, Telugu, Tamil, and then usually at the preachers' meetings, we hand them out. We give them so many to the preachers, and then the preachers will then take them to the people. But that seems to be no hassle, distributing the Bibles, thankfully, And again, each of these people are careful not to cause a ruckus. If you don't stir up a ruckus, because really, if you read through the book of Acts, it's when it's the ruckuses that got the attention. It's when they stirred up a ruckus and they went to the theater, and those are the things that the government doesn't like. But if you're going to be over here and helping people, serving people, widows' homes, helping the lepers, and the government is realizing, they're distributing Bibles, they're talking about Jesus, but look at how helpful they are in the community. It's like, wow, that's how it's supposed to be anyways, but that's what they're doing, and it works. They're accepted, and rarely do they get any pushback from that, because they see that we're not just trying to make you serve Christ, but we're trying to show you what that looks like, and the love and the compassion that we have for people in general. And whether you are going to turn to Christ right now, we are still going to give you this bag of rice because we love you. And so the Bibles is part of their ministry, and it seems to be helping people. The government notices that, so they don't give a lot of fight back. Yes?
I just wanted to tell you that I have a friend that I speak with and text with in Odisha all the time, and she's a member of the church.
Okay.
It was recently, last fall, where they were in fear of Hindu extremists who come and have previously burned homes and
Yeah.
raped the women, killed people. So,
And if that would happen, it would be up in Odisha. Yeah. And any time you do, because you will see some stuff like that on the news, and it will most likely be up in the north in Odisha, sadly. Right down in Andhra Pradesh and the southern states, we don't really hear of that happening. Anyone else? Otherwise, the time is just about wrapped up. During this the service, I'm going to give a couple minutes spew on Let the Bible Speak, and then going to preach the Word of God. And that's a wrap for this morning. I'll just say a quick prayer, and then we'll get dismissed here. Lord, thank you for your Word. Thank you that we are able to gather as your family, just help the Word get into desperate and hungry places in the world. And we ask that this work would continue to thrive and many would be able to find you. And, well, Lord, thank you for being the light of the world. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.